Hello, this is Jenny from Healing the Wounded Heart. When we think of a boat, we know that it has been built for a specific purpose, whether it is to go fishing, carrying cargo, or foot passengers to a specific destination. We have been made by God for the sole purpose of being in relationship with Him and being a blessing to others. So today we're going to take a look at the life of the Apostle Paul from Acts chapter 27 and how he set out on a journey by sea to Rome, only to find himself, along with his crew, facing a terrible storm. Now, we might not be facing a literal storm, but nevertheless, we are all facing a global crisis. So we're going to think about what not to do in a crisis. First of all then, don't drift. When we are caught in a crisis, we typically react in three ways. Now, because the sailors couldn't head into the wind, they gave way to it and were driven along. So then, the first thing that storms tend to do is to cause us to drift. We let go of our goals. We forget where we are headed. We forget our values and start drifting. Because they were not equipped with compasses and the stars were completely obscured by the storm, the sailors were in total darkness. When we are in a dark situation, what do? We drift. The waves beat us back and forth, and we are led wherever the boat takes us. Our problems batter us back and forth. Now, it is so easy at this present time to find ourselves living each day in a sort of daze, not knowing what to do next. And even if we do have an idea, feeling as though, well, we just can't be bothered. Most of us, I'm sure, keep wondering if one day soon we will wake up and suddenly realise that this crisis has all been a bad dream. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Having some kind of structure to the day is important and good for our well-being. So let me encourage you, if you are not already doing this, to set a plan at the end of each day for the next day. I know this is not so easy to implement, which is why we need a bit of self-discipline, don't we? By doing this, we will have the sense of satisfaction that we have achieved something, even though it may only be cleaning out a few kitchen cupboards. Oh, that's exciting, I know. So having some kind of structure to each day is really far better than just endlessly drifting like a boat at sea, which has no destination in view. If we drift, we won't achieve anything worthwhile. My husband and I, after breakfast, have been doing some exercise before morning coffee. Now, I can tell you that most days I don't feel like it and could easily let this just drift away. But actually, after exercising, I always feel better and glad I did it. Now, we all like to think that we have achieved something or reached a particular goal, don't we? But if we choose to stay in our PJs all day, watch TV and eat rubbish food, well, that is not a very wise decision, is it? Secondly, don't discard. Things didn't get any better on the Apostle Paul's voyage to Rome. And it says in Acts chapter 27, verse 18, we took such a violent battering from the storm that the next day they began to throw the cargo overboard. When a crisis emerges for us, first we start drifting, then secondly we start discarding things from our lives. With the sailors, it was first the cargo, then the ship's tackle, eventually their food, and then finally themselves. They all jumped overboard and started swimming to shore. Often, when we find ourselves in a crisis of life, we are tempted to throw out the very things that are important to us because we are under pressure and want to get rid of it all. We can become impulsive. We can give up on our dreams. We can throw away certain values that we had previously upheld. I know we can all feel that we've lost control of our lives and being almost forced to stay like prisoners within our own homes, even though we understand the severity of the situation. Yet even though this world is shaking and we wonder if things will ever be the same again, we can still decide whether we are just going to drift like a boat at sea or have some sense of purpose and goal to our daily lives. Thirdly, don't despair. Acts chapter 27 and verse 20 says, "When neither sun nor moon appeared for many days, and the storm continued raging, we finally gave up all hope of being saved." In an extreme crisis, we can eventually get to the point of despair. And so thirdly, the last thing we throw out is hope. Perhaps you feel like that right now. We have all been struggling with the current situation, and maybe you have been going through another problem that has been batting you back and forth. Have you come to the point where now you are just drifting? Have you thrown important things out of your life? Have you come to the point of utter despair? Remember the sailors. They gave up hope because they had forgotten that God is in control. They forgot that God had a plan. They forgot that God can inject hope into an absolutely hopeless situation. This is what God wants to do in our lives today. God bless you all.